What's up, guys? How are you guys doing? In this video we're gonna be talking about Rosaria and her kid and everything, guys. Okay, so yeah, I did, if you see my summon video, I did get shafted quite a lot, but I did end up pulling it at the end of the day. So and I built it as much as I can, and so we're gonna be doing a review of Rosaria. Okay, so yeah, let's get started and let's talk about Rosaria. All right, is she worth the 7 or is she not? Right, how strong is she? We're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna see how she works as well. Right, so Rosaria, she is, from what I've tasted her so far, she seems absolutely strong. She seems very strong, guys. Okay, her damage is crazy, right? The gear, as you guys can see, the gear I'm running on her is, of course, the crit rate with effective chance. The reason I went with effective chance, substats and stuff like that, is because of her ultimate, right? Because of that defense down right there. I want that thing to be applied when she uses her ultimate. So having high effective rate would makes more sense, right? And then of course I went with attack set just to boost her attack damage, right, on the 2 set, right? I went with this one, the Valor set, just to boost her attack, because everything scale with her attack. So the gear makes sense, right? Of course I went with crit damage on the necklace, and I went with attack here. That's technically what you want. She doesn't need a lot of crit rate, because she could actually boost her crit rate as well. And you could all use different characters like Charlotte, right? Like the base Charlotte, right? You can use somebody like her to boost her crit rate. You can use somebody like what's her name, Tanya, to boost her crit as well using this, right? So you could also boost her crit by a lot using other cards as well. So she doesn't need a lot of crit damage, crit rate. So that's why I went with crit damage on here. But the substats is, of course, it's gonna have some speed, some crit rate, some attack as well, right? It makes sense, right? And here, some effect resistance, right? Effective rate, right? Just increasing her effective hit chance, right? This one is speed, of course, right? And then you could also get more bonus stuff like sub status with a crit damage crit rate, right? Here I end up rolling HP and defense. You ideally want attack and like effective hit chance here, but this is also fine as well. And the same thing here, right? You want something like this, effective chance with instead of HP, attack would be nice, but it's fine, right? So that's what her gear look like, and her status, as you guys can see, right? She have 5,000 attack, 25k HP, which is kind of crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Almost 2k defense, 156 speed, and then 76% crit rate, right? Yeah, which is with her kit boosting the crit rate, that's gonna be 100% crit rate, okay? And then we have 93 crit damage. I was hoping to get a little bit more crit damage on her, but it is what it is. And then we have 145% effective chance, right? Because effective chance is very good, but she have really low effective resistance. So yeah, that's all right for Rosaria. And now let's talk about her kit, right? Her passive is very good. I did end up getting like a +1 on her, but the +0, she doesn't really need the dupe. The main thing you guys gonna get from her dupe is this attack up right here. Only lasts for 1 turn if you have her 0 dupe. But if you have her max dupe, you actually gonna get the attack up to last 3 turns, which is really good. And then you're also gonna get a 15% attack, which is actually quite big. For her damage especially, right? Because everything say was attacked, and this giving her attack will make her do a lot more damage, right? But yeah, E0, she works fine as well, right? So the passive is increase Rosaria's chance to grant herself 1 stack of Inferno undisposable after using Ashen Inferno. Ashen Inferno is her basic attack by 20% per stack of agitation, right? Up to 5 stack of agitation prevents self-current HP from dropping below 40%. That's the second part of her passive. And so yeah, so her passive is a 2-parter, right? The first part is, of course, increase Rosaria's chance to grant self 1 stack of Inferno. It's undisposable buff, which is really good. And then after using Ashen Inferno, which is her basic attack by 20% per stack of agitation. So based on your stack of agitation, when you use her basic attack, you actually gonna get 1 stack of agitation. So based on that stack, you actually gonna be getting more chance to get that Inferno stack as well, right? When she attacks. So this thing is stacked up to like 5 agitation, right? Yeah, the 20% scales off of agitation stack up to 5 stacks right here, okay? Which is that's an interesting passive. And the second part of the passive is prevent self HP from dropping below 40% and grant self attack up for 1 turn after being attacked by an attack that would take self HP under 40%, right? The effect that triggers after being attacked occurs once per battle. The effect they are talking about is the 40% one right here, right? When she get attacked, and if it's really hitting hard like a skill, and it will have like 1 shot her, she actually is gonna survive by 40% of her HP, right? Yeah, she can't go below 40% HP for one time per turn, right? Not per turn, but I think it's 1 time in battle, right? So yeah, pretty cool passive right here. Of course, like I said, her max stack doesn't increase anything except the attack up turn duration and then the 15% attack, right? Very good stuff. And then we have her skill right here, Unleash Annihilation Inferno. At the enemy, grant self 1 stack of agitation, right? This is where you're gonna get the agitation stacks. And then when you Nova Burst it, will do self toughness 50 damage, temporarily increased by 1 on attack, which is pretty decent, right? And then we have her second skill right here. I'm actually gonna go straight to the third skill, and then we're gonna talk about second skill, right? So what her ultimate does is swing her sword to clear a planet, attack all enemies, inflict all enemies with defense down, which is really good for 2 turns, right? With 100% chance, right? Because I have it at level 8, right? And then increase self-action gauge. That's the second part by 50%, which is kind of crazy. And then she also grants herself Honor of the Throne, which is like this thing right here that increases skill damage and speed by 15%, which is crazy, right? And then we got Inferno, of course. Inferno is pretty much just enhance the Royal Judgment for each stack of Inferno, a stack up to 3 times. This is Royal Judgment is her, if I'm not mistaken, her skill 2 right here, right? So yeah, the main use of Inferno is to boost the damage of her skill right here, okay? And then, yeah, for 3 turns, and then grant self a stack of Inferno and dispel for each target hit by a critical hit, a stack up to 3 times. And then when you Nova Burst, you temporarily deal 1 more toughness fixed damage and increase crit rate by 30 on attack, right? So, when you use her, you actually want to use her ultimate first, okay? To get those Inferno stacks and also the Honor of the Throne skill right here, okay? And you're also going to be applying the defense down on them, right? The reason why I say use her ultimate first is because if you look at her skill right here, we're going to read it like this, okay? So actually, let me just read it like this for you guys, okay? So right here, yeah, I'll read the skill like this, okay? So her skill, what it does, unleash an Inferno of Condemnation to ravage the enemy, grants self 1 stack of agitation. You're gonna get more agitation from this as well. The applied effect changes based on the number of stack of Inferno, right? Undispelled, right? Removes all Inferno stacks after attacking. So what Inferno does is right here, right? 1 stack of Inferno will deal 10% more damage, right? It will add 10% more damage to her skill right here. But if you have 2 stacks of Inferno, you're actually going to be dealing 20% more damage with the skill. And if you have 3 stacks of Inferno, you're actually going to do, actually, yeah, okay, so yeah, you're still gonna be doing 20% more damage, but you would actually trigger her basic attack as a follow-up, okay? When she has 3 stacks. That's why I say her ultimate. So because her ultimate gives her straight away 3 stacks of agitation, right? I mean 3 stacks of Inferno, which means you have the max stack to use her skill right here, right? So you ideally want to use her ultimate and her skill, and then her skill will since it will already have the 3 stacks right here, you actually be she will be following up with her basic attack right here, okay? So very simple gameplay, and then you until these things come back from the cooldown, right? The skill is 3 turn cooldown, and the ultimate is a 5 turn cooldown. I leveled up, but if you didn't level it up, it's actually a 6 turn cooldown ultimate, which is quite a lot. I mean long. So until those things reset, you're actually just gonna be spamming her basic attack and stacking those agitation stacks, okay? So that way, once this thing get off cooldown, you actually gonna just repeat, rinse and repeat, right? So you alt, right? Once they get off cooldown, you alt, right? Since the skill gonna come back before the ultimate, you actually just want to hold on to the skill and wait for the ultimate right here. And then you use the ultimate, you get the 3 stacks of Infernos, and then you use her skill, and then boom, right? You're gonna do the maximum damage, and also you're gonna do the follow up with her basic attack right here, okay? So very interesting gameplay right here. Team wise, you guys can use, let me just go to the team setup and I'll show you guys, right? So for Rosaria, you guys can actually use a lot of cool teammates who's there, okay? So the first one you guys can do is, let me show you guys, okay? So for Rosaria team, some team you guys can actually use. This team right here is actually a really cool team you guys can use for PvP, okay? The reason I say this is because Sierra right here, she's one of the best character in PvP because of her second skill right here, okay? You guys already know how her second skill works. It's a very, very good second skill she have. So what it does is it will give us summon a Starlit Butterfly to buff and like grant and light attack up for 2 turns, right? And she also gonna give action gauge 60% action gauge to the ally right here, right? And so for Rosaria, you could actually just buff. You can use Sierra's skill to buff Rosaria, so she could get turns, right? And same thing with what's Ashura, right? Ashura, her ultimate can also give action gauge, and she could sustain Rosaria quite a lot for a long time, and then when Rosaria attacks, she could also follow up and heal and stuff like that, and also become a sub DPS card as well, right? So this is the one team you guys can make for PvP right here. Very very strong team, and I'll put Lacey here just to give her more agitation stack, right? To give Rosaria more agitation stack, right? Very very cool. Another team you guys can use is something like this, right? Just to uber buff Rosaria and just nuke with Rosaria, right? You use Charlotte's second skill to buff her. You use Banniger Charlie's skill to buff her as well, and yeah, and then Emily is here to protect her, and yeah, you're just gonna be doing a lot more damage, right? Another team you guys can use a full mono, chaos team right here. You're gonna have your healer gonna be Elisa right here, right? And this chick can also revive, which is pretty cool, right? So this Elisa can revive with her ultimate, right? She's a pretty decent healer for a mono team as well, right? If you guys look at. So, and then we have Lydia. The reason I put Lydia here is because of her second skill right here. It's going to be very nice for Rosaria, so because it will apply AoE effect resistance decrease and speed decrease to the enemy. So that way Rosaria can apply her defense down a lot faster, and yeah, just become just like a menace in the PvE content, right? So yeah, this is a PvP team, but these are a PvE team, okay? And another one you guys can do, so just the regular PvE team, right? This is the safest PvE team you guys can use. Of course, you guys can put Emily instead of Heal Day, right? But just for the counter side team, I just put Hilda here. But yeah, you have your Banniger to be your sub DPS and buffer. You got your Ashara to also be your healer and also sub DPS as well. You got your main tank right here, and you got Rosaria as well, right? These are some of the team you guys can use on her, right? And now I'll show you guys a quick gameplay of Rosaria and just show you guys how she works, right? So let's, I'll just do a quick tower mode right here, and we're gonna see how strong she is right here, okay? So yeah, the loading screen in this game is quite long, man. I'm not gonna lie, right? So if we look at, so let's just do this. I'm at floor 120. That's fine, right? Let's just go in like this, and I'm actually just gonna use this team right here, right, with Emily. This team works. For speed, I think I'm put the leadership on Banniger Charlotte right here. Okay, so let's just get started and let's see how strong she is, guys. Okay, she's very very good, by the way. So far I'm enjoying using her. I would have loved to get her to 3-star, but it is what it is, right? Max dupe, but luck is not always going to be by your side, right? So let's turn off auto right here. So I'll show you guys how you guys. Okay, so here you use your ultimate, right? So I'll show you guys how her kit works, right? She already starts with what's this? Yeah, toughness 5, right? So let's go and let's ult right here and let's see how much damage she does. This will hit so we landed 3 critical, right? So we landed 3 critical. So if we look at her now, let me show you guys, right? Let me look at Rosaria right here. Okay, so as you can see, she has 3 turn Honor of the Throne stack, but we only have 2 stack of Inferno. So once we get 3 stack, we're actually gonna use her. We're gonna use her skill right here. Okay, so let's just do this right here. Yeah, we didn't create the main boss, unfortunately. If we create the main boss, that would have given us, 3 stack, right? The maximum stack of Inferno, unfortunately. So let's just hit this right here, right? Good damage from Banniger, right? And then I'm actually just gonna boost. You know what? For now, I'm just gonna do this right here on Banniger. That's fine. Okay, let's just ult with Emily right here. She should do pretty good damage here as well, right? Yeah, Emily is broken, right? See, since we only have 2 stacks, we're gonna be doing 20% more damage, but we're not going to do the follow-up, unfortunately, because she don't have 3 stacks of Inferno right now. Yeah, she only have 2 stacks of Inferno. But this still should hit pretty hard, right? Look at this, 18,000 right there. And then we got Banniger doing her thing. Okay, this was actually a pretty easy stage. Actually, I'm gonna try it on the next one and see if we could actually create the next boss. Okay, so let's see if we could actually create all 3 of them in the next stage. Hopefully, we can create them so I can show you guys how her skill 2 works. Okay, so hopefully, come on, create. Come on, you have 70 plus stack. Okay, you better create, lady. Okay. See, oh man, we didn't increase the tiny dude right here. Unfortunately, that sucks, man. I'll restart this. Okay, I'll restart this, and we're gonna try it again. Okay. Okay, I did finally manage to create three of these guys. Now we have 3 stacks of Inferno right here, right? And that's road judgment for each stack of Inferno, stack up to 3 times, right? And then we also have the the barrier right here from Emily, and we have the 3 turn attack up right here. So yeah, we're gonna see how this works right here. So if you have 3 stack right here, she should be following up with her Ashen Inferno skill right here. Okay, so let's do it and let's see how she works, right? I'm actually just gonna burn it to see how much damage she's gonna do here. And then we're gonna do this, right? Look at this. So once she does that, she follow up right here. See, that's pretty much how you use her. And then now you could just spam the basic attack in order to wait for the cooldown to reset on the ultimate and skill, and then just rinse and repeat, right? Very simple kit. And yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving using her so far. Okay, I'll beat the stage and I'll come back to you guys. Okay. Okay, so lastly, is Rosaria worth summoning for, right? The answer is, for me personally, I think she's worth summoning on. Okay, if you guys manage to get her with 1 dupe, with 0 dupe, you guys are fine. She's absolutely she will perform very nicely with 0 dupe. Okay, she doesn't need her dupes as much as the other cards, like similar to Ashura and stuff like that. But if you guys manage to get her passive up to like max rank, actually, you know what I'm saying, the the max passive right here, she's actually like it's actually the amount of strength she gets from this is very you can feel it. Okay, I think she's on par with like Ashura's dupes. Okay, because this thing just boosts her damage by so much, guys. Okay, because she gonna get a 30% attack boost for 3 turns plus a 15% attack increase on top of that, right? And this 15% attack increase actually is very similar to her Arcana as well, right? Her Arcana also gives her a 15% attack. So when you combine those two, it's another 30% attack you're gonna get for on her own Rosaria. Which, yeah, if you guys look at her Arcana, for example, right? This thing stacks up to 5 times. That's 15, right? So you are getting like 60% plus attack up on her, right? With her combined with her max dupe and also this Arcana right here, right? The Arcana passive right here. So yeah, her dupe does make her a freaking monster, but you guys can definitely use her with 0 dupe, and you guys actually, okay? Yeah, she's very strong. Okay, probably the base DPS in the game right now. Okay, when it comes to AoE stuff. Okay, and because of that defense down right here is just broken as well, right? For 2 turns, a whole 30% defense down is also crazy, right? Which is crazy, right? Her Inferno stacks are amazing. Her Honor of the Throne stack is also crazy, right? Because it increases her basic skill damage and speed by 15%. Her basic skill does hit pretty hard as well, right? Whenever, if you use it, or if you use it as a follow up through her skill, right? So yeah, very strong character. Okay, so if you guys one answer, yes, she's worth summoning on. I would say her Arcana is also worth summoning on because her Arcana is also really good, but you guys can kind of like skip it. I think you guys will be fine if you guys skip it, but I think if you have her Arcana, it's a really good as well, right? Because this effect is very amazing right here, and you can use this on any Ranger class. Okay, so yeah, any Ranger class can get up to 15% stack attack status on their, like, on their journey and stuff like that, right? And it does give you attack, defense, and of course the effected right here, right? And you're also gonna get more attack right here with more effective chance right here, and you get another 4.5% crit rate on it, right? Which is really good, right? And then more effective chance, and then attack, right? So very good Arcana. But you guys will be fine if you guys didn't want to, if you guys are strapped for, like, if you guys are low on premium currency and stuff like that. I would say you guys can skip on it, okay? But it's definitely highly recommended to get Arcana as well, right? Bell Arcana is kind of similar, actually. It's pretty similar. It will give increased self crit rate by 5% when using a basic skill, stack up to 5 times. This is actually really good. It's a bit similar to like Rosaria's Arcana, but instead of attack, this one gives you crit rate, right? It's very good, right? So this is, you guys can use this as a type of replacement for her Arcana, and you're also gonna get more effective chance over here, right? So this card is pretty good if you guys want to want a substitute for her card. But yeah, Rosaria definitely worth getting. Okay, let me know how you guys are enjoying using Rosaria, and let me know how you guys summer went. Hopefully you guys got lucky and you guys get to try her out. She's very strong. Okay, very strong character. Okay, I'm actually just I'm having a blast using her and stuff like that. So yeah, anyways guys, thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next video. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and bye bye.